I'm the Indie Nomad, and this is why you should play Disco Elysium. Created by indie studio/artist collective Zaum and released late 2019, Disco Elysium is a computer role-playing game, or CRPG. This subgenre of RPG characteristically features an isometric, three-quarter top-down view, as well as a heavy focus on a variety of upgradable character stats and their varied influence on the play experience. With a setting vaguely describable as fantastic realism, the game is set in a world not quite our own, known as Elysium. This world, while reminiscent of ours with its people and technology, also contains just enough mystery and wonder to obscure the hard edges of what exactly is possible. The plot revolves around the shipping port of Martinez, a rundown district of the city of Revachol, still scarred and battered by war decades past. You play the role of amnesiac detective who, after waking up from an apocalyptic bender that caused said amnesia, quickly discovers they've been tasked with solving a murder mystery. Similar to other games of the genre, the gameplay consists of a mix of exploration and interaction with the various denizens and environments of Martinez. Occasionally, in your travails, you will come up against challenges. When attempted, the game will roll the dice, and you can either succeed or fail depending on your role. Each challenge will be connected to a specific skill. The higher the requisite skill, the more likely you are to succeed. With 24 different skills, as well as 4 attributes these skills variously fall under, there is a huge variety to the ways you can choose to embody your character and interact with the world presented to you. Disco Elysium is fairly non-traditional when compared to other games of its genre, specifically forgoing any form of combat system to more fully commit to its focus on narrative. A story of sorrow, of loss, of hope, identity, philosophy, and so much more. This decision is fully vindicated by the quality and the impact of said narrative. Disco Elysium is made of stories, from the big overarching plot down to the one-page micro-narratives, all woven together to form a unique and soulful tapestry. Of course, all those high-minded structural elements could easily ring hollow if not expressed with the right tone or if lacking the proper level of care and attention. This expression, the actual writing of the game, does exactly that though. Evocative and surreal, yet grounded in a human perspective, the writing is far more than a bunch of statues talking stoically about philosophy. This perspective, warped by an unreliable narrator and an ever so slightly fantastic setting, allow for a remarkably broad range, able to be goofy or morose or introspective without the risk of tonal dissonance. Hand in hand with the writing, the characters that inhabit the world are each just as deep and interesting in their own ways. Notably, the dialogue and character interact with the game's core mechanics in a novel manner. As the character you play as suffers from significant mental trauma, owing to, among other things, alcohol-induced amnesia, symptoms of withdrawal, and extreme grief, the stats of this RPG are representative of various fragmented elements of your character's psyche. Some of these are fairly straightforward, and some a little more esoteric. More importantly though, each stat is also a minor character in its own right. These stats, if raised high enough, can at various times voice their own opinions and desires, and with 24 different stats, the finer play experience can vary wildly depending on how you choose to level your character. This range of possible play experience is well suited to the presentation of the wider world itself. As a total amnesiac, your character has no memory of the world they inhabit, connecting the character and the player in this shared lack of understanding. Through the course of play, you can choose to learn as much or as little of the setting as you desire, with the rules of the world, the laws, the history, all hiding just beneath the surface of the narrative. That said, this is first and foremost a role-playing game, so the degree you choose to engage with this aspect of play is left entirely to your discretion. And through it all, the emotion, the discovery, the understanding, the music stands as evocative accompaniment throughout. Scored by English indie alt-rock group British Sea Power, each song serves to heighten and underline whatever scene they're tied to in a way that takes something amazing and elevates it just that much further. The upbeat yet melancholic Cafeteria music, the haunting and somber strings of the doomed commercial district, and so many more. Each imprinted themselves forever on my brain in ways that faithfully evoke those initial emotions and feelings, regardless of how long it's been since I last heard them. Inspired, at least in part, by Planescape Torment, my personal favorite game, I was always going to be some amount of biased on this one. But getting to play it for the first time was a special experience in its own right. Not as sprawling or as literally fantastical as the D&D adjacent Planescape. Instead, Disco Elysium is intimate and introspective. Learning who the protagonist was, and at the same time deciding who they are, could have been so much less affecting, but the writing makes it matter. This process of self-discovery continues to feature from beginning to end, accompanied by the discovery of the world and that of the other characters too. Most important among them, your partner Kim Kitsuragi. I've gone on before about how great Kim is, but I'll take more opportunities to gush about him. To quote me, Kim, simply put, is a deep, characterful, truly good man. You know, for instance, he would without doubt take a bullet for you, regardless of how eccentric you seem, because that's who he is. The more you learn of him, the greater his opinion of you feels. You start to want to do good because you don't want to disappoint your good friend Kim. Suffice to say, his inclusion is just another extremely good facet of an extremely good game. As I mentioned before, Disco Elysium is a story made of stories, some big, some small. The larger stories consisting of the murder mystery and the mystery of your character's past and self. The process of uncovering and understanding both are exceptionally satisfying, with many moments of realization and discovery sprinkled over the course of the game. While the smaller stories are somewhat more varied in quality, none by any means fall flat. Simply that the ceiling can only be so high with less time or attention devoted to their development. Among them all, though, main plot included, one of these stories will always stand head and shoulders above the rest. Unfortunately, I can't go into details lest I spoil it. What I will say, though, is the conclusion of this thread, the culmination of so many things, was a moment that left me in hushed, reverent awe, simply reeling from the experience. It was a special moment in a special game. Disco Elysium is currently available on PC, Mac, PS4, and PS5, with Switch and Xbox versions coming later this year. It can be run on some surprisingly low specs and goes on sale fairly frequently. And, with the recent release of the Final Cut patch, adding to and fleshing out many aspects of the game, there's never been a better time to play. You can find me on Twitter at indie_nomad, and Instagram at TheIndieNomad, both with some shorter form takes. And thanks for watching. I know it's a little rough around the edges, but I'm looking forward to making more of these. In the meantime, likes, comments, and all that are massively appreciated. Till then, I'll catch you all next time.